Hi, my name is Kevin Taylor. When it's Monday, it's Scandal Day. This is With All Due Respect. So with all due respect, today I'll be starting with ex-President Rawlings. Last week I heard him talking about injustice on the campus of the University of Education, Winneba. With all due respect to the people at Winneba and especially to the students and the teachers, I think their issue should be discussed thoroughly and we should go to the bottom of the issue to make sure that the right thing is done. But for somebody like ex-President Rawlings, who hears no evil and sees no evil, to talk about injustice, I feel very, very embarrassed for him. Ex-President Rawlings, if you want to talk about injustice, I have a lot of injustice happening in this country for you to talk about. Mr. Rawlings, were you not in this country when this government denied Gregory Afoko bail, even when the highest court of the land had granted him bail? Were you not in this country? Did you talk about it? This gentleman has been turned into a political prisoner. You live in this country, you never uttered a word about this. This is the kind of injustice we're talking about. Mr. Rawlings, do you know the injustice happening in Ghana? Do you know about the Parkwesi Indium GN Bank issue in court today? Do you know that as we speak, the vacation judge, the government has deliberately decided to delay the case to the point whereby the judge who is supposed to be sitting on the case had been taken off and then a new justice has been brought in. And do you know the person handling this Parkwesi Indium case against the government with the banking crisis issue? Is the sister of Atachan, the twin sister of Atachan. Yes, her name is Gifty Ejay. Mr. Rawlings, these are the injustices ordinary Ghanaians are going through. Now, Ghanaians, businessmen, they can't fight the government because this government has made it a point to suppress its own citizens. This is the kind of government we are talking about. This is the highest form of injustice. But Mr. Rawlings, you didn't see any of this. Mr. Rawlings, we could talk about Kobna Duffuor. Yes, Kobna Duffuor and his Unicredit, Unisecurity and all that. You know what he's going through now. And it's so surprising that you didn't see any of this. You never talked about Kobna Duffuor's issue. How this man is being harassed by this government because some people in this government think that Kobna Duffuor is associated with the past government. Mr. President, ex-President Rawlings, these are the kind of injustice I was expecting you to come out and speak on. We can also talk about Seydou Agongo's Heritage Bank. As we speak, everybody knows that this gentleman is going through the worst injustice in the world. As we speak, the government of the day does not have credible evidence against Seydou Agongo, Kobna Duffuor, GN Bank, Parkwesi's Bank. But you've refused to talk about this injustice. Go all the way to Winneba because you think it is easy for you to penetrate. Ex-President Rawlings, I have told you over and over that your hypocrisy is getting out of hand. I don't know. I don't really know what is really making you act this way. Maybe you are part of the clique, the family and friends. Because what is happening in Ghana, the injustice meted on even nurses, young unemployed nurses who were locked up last week. You refuse to talk about it. I don't know if you don't watch the news again. Yes, maybe you've been watching animals like Mensa Otabil. The injustice being meted on Ghanaians each and every single day, Mr. President, you have refused to talk about it. But I don't blame you at all. I don't blame you because today you have become a puppet on the lap of a midget. That is the rough cut for today. Now, I would like to move on to today's episode. Honestly, I am very happy that as we speak, the Auditor General has actually ordered Yaw Osafo Maafo, yes, Yaw Osafo Maafo, the senior minister, to refund or to pay the money he stole, the Kroll Associates money, $1 million in Ghana cedis is 5.5 million Ghana cedis. I'm happy, even though the mainstream media decided not to talk about it. There were a few media outlets that decided to talk on the issue, and through their efforts and their push, today Osafo Maafo, who stole the $1 million, yes, for no work done, is being told to refund that money. A newspaper like the Herald newspaper is doing a great job. Even though the mainstream media in Ghana have decided, majority of the media houses have decided not to talk about the exposés we show our fellow Ghanaians. But this newspaper, they've been pushing. They pushed from the PDS scandal and all the way to this issue. And today, I'll applaud the Herald newspaper for what they are doing in Ghana. They are actually, to me, doing the best they can to make sure the truth is sent to the people. Now, the scandal. Now, there's something we call the PFM, which is the Public Financial Management Reform Project. Now, this PFM is being funded by the World Bank. What this does is basically, in a layman's language, what it does is it improves the budget management, financial control, and the reporting of the government of Ghana. So in short terms, to make it easy, it's basically a system that is put in place which manages our budget and manages our payroll, basic. So for civil servants to be paid and also for us to have a credible budget. Let's imagine a set of computers being put together, software, a system that manages our budget, also manages the payroll of the government of Ghana. Simple. It is the basic way to understand this. Now, there are three components that comes together to form this Public Financial Management Reform Project. Yes, there are three components. And these three components all have their leads. When they say leads, they have their managers that takes care of these components. Now, I'm going to briefly explain the three components to you. Now, the three components, the first one, what it does is it enhances the budget component to improve budget management. The second component is the Public Financial Management System. Basically, what it does is supports the design, the implementation, and also enhance the national payroll. The third component is the technology infrastructure. So when you put all these three together, that's when we get a Public Financial Management Reform Project. And this project is being funded by the World Bank. Now, the Finance Ministry decided to give a contract to a company called the AH Consulting Company. Yes, AH Consulting, as you can see here. This company, in 2018, the Finance Ministry decided to contract this company from Uganda. Yes, AH Consulting is a company which is from Uganda. The Finance Ministry contracted this company to come to Ghana and do a health check. Basically, what that means is the Finance Ministry wanted to make sure that our system that takes care of our payroll, our budget, to make it credible, we needed to check the system and make sure that it is actually following the international standards. But then the Finance Ministry decided that there's a company in Uganda they think can do the work well. So they contracted this company from Uganda called AH Consulting. And as you can see here, you can see AH Consulting there. They actually engaged this company to come and do a health check on the system. Now, focus. They paid this company $334,184.40. So basically, when you round it up, they paid this company $335,000 to come and do the health check. Basically, what they have to come and do is check the system and see that our system has been updated. Our system is actually in conformity with the international standards. Now, don't forget that this specific work that AH Consulting came to Ghana to do, from 2012 all the way to 2018, the government of Ghana has been doing this. Yes, the government of Ghana, we actually have the resource, the people to take care of this. So we've been updating, we've been doing this all this while. But this time, this government, this NPP government decided to bring a company from Uganda called AH Consulting to come do this and take $335,000. Now, let's move on. Now, AH Consulting, after they did all their health check, yeah, they called it health check because they need to check the system whether it's healthy or it's not. So it's a technical term. Health check is to make sure that the system is up to date. Now, after they did all the work, right, I can say emphatically, and I'll back it with documents. Yes, I'll back this with documents, that at the end of the day, there was no evidence of work done. And also, they never made their recommendations public. Ghana government contracted this company, paid them $335,000 to come and do health check on our system to make sure that our payroll and our management of the budget is perfect. These guys did the work and there was no evidence of work done. And also, after they did the work, their recommendation was not made public. Yes, details of whatever they found, the health check, the faults they found, the defections and all that, they didn't make it public. So this is why I was saying that this particular episode it looks very, very close to that of the Kroll and Associates scandal. Now, after they said they did their work and showed nothing to anybody, the Ministry of Finance, basically the Ghana government, again awarded this company a new contract worth $2.5 million. Now, this same company that did the first work, that did not show any proof of work, no evidence of any work done, the Ministry of Finance went ahead to give them $2.5 million of contract. And you know what this contract was about? To implement their own recommendations, which nobody saw. Don't get it twisted. We gave this company work to do. After they did the work, we didn't see the work they did. They didn't tell us their recommendations. They didn't tell us the details of the work they did. We don't actually know anything about the work they did. And I'm going to prove to you. Now the government of Ghana goes ahead and gives this same contract, this same company, AH Consulting, another contract worth $2.5 million to implement their own recommendations. This is very, very absurd. Now take your time and follow this. The question will be, how did Kevin get to know that this company didn't do the job? It's basically the same as Kroll and Associates coming in to take $1 million, which Osaf Mafu stole and all that. I'm going to prove that to you. Now, before we get to that, I would like to explain something to you. When AH Consulting came to Ghana to sign a contract with the Ghana government, or basically the finance ministry, we had to get some people to witness that contract signing. Now, in such a huge contract, $300,000 and $2.5 million, you expect the director of finance at the Ministry of Finance to be there to witness this, right? The director at the Ministry of Finance, director of the Ministry of Finance, the chief director, he was ignored. He was sidelined. Now, do you know the person who witnessed for the finance ministry or the government of Ghana? The person who witnessed is Nana A.J. Mensah. He is the acting chief director of the Ministry of Health. The acting chief director of the Ministry of Health, Nana A.J. Mensah, is the one who witnessed a contract being signed by the finance ministry, whilst we have a chief director at the finance ministry. But one would say, why did this happen? I will tell you. You see, Edu Boahen. Can you guys bring him here? Edu Boahen, this guy, is the guy who pulled all the strings here. He is the person who is behind all this contract. And at the end of the day, at the end of this episode, everyone will understand what I'm talking about. So basically, Edu Boahen and AH Consulting came together to put together a plan. And the plan was simple: to pave way to create a cartel so that Edu Boahen could operate fully at the Ministry of Finance, so that this money that we are paying to AH Consulting, majority of them could come to him. Now, this is what he did. Remember when I started the show, I told you that the Public Financial Management Reform Project is in 3 components. I told you the first component is an enhancing budget component. The second one was public financial management. And the third component was the technology infrastructure. Now, these 3 components all have leaders. Basically, what you see, they have managers who take care of all these 3 components. Now, this is what Edu Boahen did. He was very smart. He fired the career civil servants who were taking care of these 3 components, the 3 managers. He fired all of them, and he brought in 3 new people. In fact, he brought in 4 new people. Now, let me tell you the background of these people. The first person he hired, Jacob Kojo, financial. He was going to take care of the financial part of it. That guy, his auntie, is the chief of staff. Yes, Joseph Kojo, his auntie, is the chief of staff. He actually hired party people to take over the job of civil servants, career civil servants. The second person is Peter Atu. Peter Atu was going to take care of payroll. Jacob Kojo and Peter Atu both used to work at Bait Solution. This Bait Solution company belongs to Charles Edu Boahen, the deputy finance minister. He hired 2 people from his own company to come and fill those positions. Now, the third person is Paul Boahen. He was supposed to take care of HRMIS. And this guy, this Paul Boahen, he was hired. He used to work at McKinsey. I hope everybody remembers McKinsey. McKinsey Imani raised so much issue with McKinsey, and the Ministry of Finance Ministry of Finance gave McKinsey this juicy contract. Everybody thought it was quite sketchy. This is where this guy is from, the third guy. So the three guys they hired was Jacob Kojo, whose auntie is the chief of staff. The second person, Peter Atsu, who's to take care of payroll. The two of them, Bates Solution Company, that's where they came from. And the owner of that company, or the shareholder of that company, is the Deputy Finance Minister, Edu Boahen. The third guy was Paul Boahen, and he also used to work at McKinsey. If you remember, McKinsey, Imani brought up a lot of issues concerning this McKinsey company. The third person is Indian. He hasn't reported yet. We're still waiting for him to report. And the funny thing is, these people are taking $15,000 each every month. These guys are supposed to be civil servants who are not supposed to take more than 10,000 Ghana cedis a month. These people are taking $15,000. If you think I am lying, go there and check. And if I'm lying, come back with a document and tell me that I'm lying. I'm going to prove everything I'm saying at the end of the day for everybody to know. These three guys who were hired, each person is taking $15,000 every 30 days. My fellow Ghanaians, this is where we are now. Now, the big question is, how can Kevin prove all that he's saying? How can Kevin convince the ordinary Ghanaian who doesn't want to believe him that what he is saying is true? Remember that when I started this episode, I told you that this PFM, Public Financial Management Reform Project, is being funded by the World Bank, right? Now I'm going to show you this. Producer, can you put this letter there? A letter has been sent to the government of Ghana, specifically to the Ministry of Finance. And the letter is from the World Bank. The letter is dated the 6th of September 2019. This is a very confidential letter I'm going to read to Ghanaians. And for the avoidance of doubt, I am going to read every single thing on this document so that people would know that we just don't come here to make things up. We come here with documents to prove that whatever we are saying are the facts. Now, this letter, what it states here is, Dr. Mohammed Sani Abdullahi, Project Coordinator, Public Financial Management Reform Project, Ministry of Finance. Dear Dr. Abdullahi, the caption is Ghana Public Financial Management Reform Project, IDA 56400, Review of 2018 Annual Audit Report and Management Letter. Now, this is what it says. We write to formally acknowledge receipt of the 2018 Annual Audited Financial Statement and Management Letter for the above projects. The audit report was received on June 27, 2019, which was within 6 months period after the end of the fiscal year and in compliance with the provision of the financial agreement. The second paragraph says, from a review of the audit report, it was evident that most of the observed lapses and control issues had to do with procurement management and contract administration. Remember, the $335,000 and the $2.5 million the government of Ghana or the finance ministry paid to AH Consulting, it did not go through procurement. These contracts did not go through procurement. Let's continue the letter. It is obvious that there are still systemic challenges with procurement and contracts. As in previous missions, the bank has consistently recommended to management to take a critical review of the capacity of managed procurement to avoid any issue of misprocurement or lack of value in contracts. The third paragraph says that, specifically, the reference to the management letter, paragraph 18, the auditor lists a total of $378,000 various contracts for which the auditor states that their reviews showed that the contracts awarded did not follow through the entire procurement process. Again, and with reference to the management letter, paragraph 36, in which the auditor stated that even though payment of $334,000 had been made for a contract, there was no documentary. Listen to this very well. There was no documentary evidence by way of project deliverable to indicate that the contract had been executed. I'm going to take that line again. It said, paragraph 36, in which the auditor stated that even though payment of $334,000 had been made for a contract, there was no documentary evidence by way of project deliverables to indicate that the contract had been executed. Now, the last paragraph, this is what it says. In summary, based on the available information as per the audit report, the bank agrees, that's the World Bank agrees with the unqualified opinions expressed by the auditors and considers the audit report as acceptable and satisfactory. However, given the instances of apparent lapses in procurement and contract management as per the audit report and following our procurement reviews during missions, the bank, that is the World Bank, is requesting that an in-depth fiduciary review, fiduciary review of all procurement-related expenditure be conducted for period from January 2017 through June 2019. Now, the last paragraph is very interesting. It says, in line with the use of country systems, the World Bank or the bank further recommends that the assignment be undertaken by the Ghana Audit Service and the findings shared with the bank before December 15, 2019. Yours sincerely, Donald Impandi, Task Team Leader. And he sees a couple of people, Patrick Numo, Chief Director, Ministry of Finance, Mr. George Swansea Winfo, Deputy Editor General, Ghana Audit Service, Mr. Kwesi Queenin Bosompim, Controller and Accountant General. My fellow Ghanaians, basically what this letter is telling us is that the World Bank does not trust the government of Ghana, specifically the Finance Ministry, that the money they have given them, almost $3 million, they can't even see the work they use that money for. This is similar to the Kroll and Associates deal that Osafo Maafo stole $1 million. This is almost $3 million. What kind of image are we carving for ourselves as a nation? Yesterday, the United States government took almost $190 million from us. Today, we have taken $3 million from the World Bank. Tomorrow, who are we going to do business with? Who is going to give us any assistance? How are we going to get the assistance from all these partners? This is the kind of government we have today, a government full of liars and thieves. The Ministry of Finance has been turned into a den of thieves. Every crazy scandal starts from there. And I'll tell my fellow Ghanaians that we should take a critical look at this ministry, because in the weeks to come, we will be unveiling a lot of scandal that is being kept at the Ministry of Finance. My fellow Ghanaians, now the World Bank, yes, the World Bank that funded this project has given us to the 15th of December to come tell them what we did with the money. In their own books, they know that we did not use the money what we were supposed to use it for. What at all is happening to us? My fellow Ghanaians, in the weeks to come, I'm going to open a lot of things. I'm going to show Ghanaians why I think that we should be more vigilant than we are today. The people we have in government today, especially the people at the Ministry of Finance, these people are criminals. It's being headed by Ken Ofori-Atta. He's a very greedy man who does not care. But I've said that we are ready to speak truth to power, irrespective of who is in power. My fellow Ghanaians, let us stay focused. Let us ask questions and demand reasonable answers. This is just the beginning. $3 million of World Bank money has been taken away by people at the Ministry of Finance. And we have to go down all the way, focus, and take that money back. We need to redeem that image of Ghana. What is happening now is unbearable. My fellow Ghanaians, I've always said that I am a messenger without a Quran or a Bible in his hand, a messenger who is ready to speak truth to power. My fellow Ghanaians, this is with all due respect.